You made it with me here. That was me 52 years ago. So you only done. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Khiem Pham. Khiem in Vietnam is humble. And what's our related in food? I was graduated from Keesler class 71-3. October 1970. I get the wing there, but the week before, the Major Dean Todd asked me, the first one get called to his office and say, Kim, we have 4 837, 8 C123K, 4 C119, and blah, blah, blah. You pick one, because you are the first class, you're allowed to pick one. So I tell him, C123K. He looked at me and said, are you sure? I said, yes, sir. And he said, good luck. I walk out back to my classroom. Here, my instructor, Captain Welling, Gary Wiley. He is the former 100 pilot from Vietnam Chief Me. And he looked at me and said, Kim, what aircraft you took? I said, C123K. And he gave me a dirty look. He said, what? I want my student to be fighter pilot. And now you want to be a garbage truck driver. Well, I came back to Vietnam after training and flew C123 for 2 years. And they transferred to C130. And the story I want to tell you tonight is how I get out here. This is a picture that I with the commander sit at the RSU control, so I can write the name of the aircraft, what time they took off, what time they coming. That's what I do. All the students tend to do that. So he passed away now. Next to here. Well, I go back to Vietnam and flew 2 types of aircraft. C-130 on March, I want to make the story short, March 15, I flew 3 sorties of evacuation from Pleiku, Central Highland to Nha Trang, in the shoreline, airplane there, to evacuate the people from AFB from Pleiku to Family, 3 sorties at night, all night. 4 aircraft, and I witnessed the chaos when people screaming to my airplane to get to safety. Now, when in the morning, 6 o'clock, when my duty is done, I've flown back to Saigon, and 5 more aircraft, C-130, flown to Pleiku to replace us. Now, half hour later, all aircraft returned to the main bay where they took off. And then one of my pilots said, why did you come back? He said, the airport was overrun. I said, what? Who overrun? Not by communists, but by civilians from the city nearby. They learned that last night the airport had adequate people. That's why people came to the Pleiku airport and overrun and they cannot land. So they award the evacuation. Now, 2 weeks later, March 27th, I flown, carried helicopter blade in the back of C-130 and landed in Da Nang airport about 7 in the evening. After I landed, I turned around. We opened the cargo door. There was 100 or 200 people already wait on the ramp. And I tell them, number one, I can let I offload this cargo, then I can take you. I look around and say, 200, easy. I can take you guys back to Saigon. Now, the minute the captain I flown with, he said, Kim, I flown this to Da Nang. You take this back to Saigon, that's your duty. I will run to the terminal looking for my family. So you're in charge of the loading, everything, okay? Say, yes, easy. Now, the minute the car go up, the panic is gone. Not 100, not 200, not 300, but people scrambling to the back of 730 like ants. We could control the chaos, and people just running to the aircraft, and they all standing, we call this sudden pack for the aircraft. Then captain will show up, and we crank the engine. It went dark, and on the tarmac, I would estimate about 1,000 people there. We taxi out. There was a helicopter hovering in front of my aircraft, and he wanted us to stop to load his family, but we could do it. So I keep taxi to the north, corridor 17, to the Biribee taxi. The loadmaster on the headphone told me that, Lieutenant, I cannot close the cargo door, the ram door, because people stand on it, so many. So I tell, hold on, I jam the brake, push stop forward. I remember I done it 3 times. Now afterward he said, the door is safely closed, so we can taxi to almost to the end of the runway, 17 at the end. There was the military, 2.5-ton military truck parked in the taxiway, nose to nose. The M16 to the cockpit. He wanted me to stop, open the cargo door to load his family, about 50. But because it's dark, so I turned all the cockpit light on, so he can see me. And I use sign language because 4 inches running, nobody can hear anything. So I say, okay, go back. I open the door, you get in. Look like he understand me. So he backed up the truck. Now, I keep taxi and make 90 degree. I know the 90 degree, took off, whip out calling tower. Now, we, after airborne, I take a look in the back. We level at 20,000 feet, and on the way to Saigon, I take a seat back up and take a look. There was people, I don't know how many. They all scrambling because of enemy people, small frame. So I don't know how many, but I say so many. I look way to the tail. People was sit on there, people clinging to the static line, and finally I landed in Saigon at 11 at night, and we offload people. Then I sit and count. There were 5 trucks, each carry 50 people from the airplane to the terminal, so around 350. Now I think how this works. If this one happened to Saigon, I have wife, 2-year-old daughter, and 5-year-old boy. My father is a preacher. How they aggressively enough to fight the sea. If this happened to Saigon, so I think about I better do something to save my family. Even I do something very illegal. So I talked with a friend of mine in the sister squadron, he is major, and I tell him that look, it don't look right for our country. We better get out of here. If we're not number 1, we never be number 2. So he say, okay, then if you're on mission, let me know, and I will think we'll let you know where we going. And my head is Singapore need pilot, so why don't we fly to Singapore? It's 2.5 hours from Saigon. Then he said, yeah, this look right, but right now, Nha Trang is lost. The Phan Rang is only AFB that we fly from Tân Sơn Nhất to Phan Rang to carry supply, ammunition, or food supply to Phan Rang Airport Base and took the refugee back to Saigon. Then I tell my family, I have 5 brothers, 5 sisters, 10, total 10. My oldest brother is A37 Indian train. My second brother is Air Vietnam flies DC-3, and me, C-130. And I told my 2 older brothers, now, you go home and warning our family, tell them be ready, because we will leave Vietnam anytime. Now, I don't know how many people that my brother are getting to my home, but on the 3rd of April, we just waiting and waiting and waiting, nothing happened. But 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock, he went to me and said, Khiem, I have a mission, because the guy who flown to Phan Rang this morning twice. Now, company, squadron wanted him to fly the 3rd trip, and he said he's so tired. So I jumped and said, wait, I will fly for you. So we done that all the time, easy, you know. But the difference is, he in different squadron, I in different squadron. We don't fly mixed through, okay? So he said, Khiem, I have a mission. Be ready. Leaving Vietnam now. Nobody knows, because we secret planning each other. And I run home real quick and tell my family, leaving home now. And met me at the remote airport at Long Tan. It's 16 miles from Saigon. And met me there. I picked up that airport because during training I went and touch and go there. That aircraft belonged to the U.S. Army and deserted in 1973 at 5,000-foot runway, still good shape, so we can land there and pick up my family. That was my planning. And somehow the aircraft on his squadron is hydraulic problem. So they called to my squadron and borrow one of the aircraft in my squadron. And I asked which tail code number. He said 460. I grabbed my bag with the map in there, my headset, and run real fast to that the aircraft in my squadron, because I sneak behind the revetment and go to the aircraft. And that aircraft is just come back from Taipei for overhaul. They paint new paint. Okay, look like new aircraft, but just a new paint. And the first thing, I jumped to the cockpit and I flipped the master switch. I come back a little bit. During that time, the Air Force headquarters gives the order, all the aircraft transport to fly from Tan Son Nhut to Phan Rang. We'll have enough fuel to fly out there and back, plus 5 minutes reserve. Meaning about 15,000 pounds of fuel. We fly out there and back, 15,000 pounds. When I flipped the switch, there were 40,000 pounds full. Miracle.
Yes.
The fuelers stand behind me. Lieutenant, please don't report me. I go to jail. You know why? Because I take the smoke break, I forgot to turn off the switch. And he told me, please don't report me. Why don't you let me have time to defuel? I said, no defuel. Get out of here. Okay, I don't want to see your face again. Now, the cargo from the broken aircraft load to my airplane. Okay, I stand on I only wanted to cockpit at that time before they load. So I do that. I say, now 3 o'clock. 3:15 we take off from Tan Son Nhut, fly to Long Tan 16 miles away. I don't think my family can make it. So I try to delay the takeoff time by, number one, I pull the circuit breaker of the APU. Okay, this circuit breaker not pop by itself. but only for maintenance people when they need it, they pull out, and then when they're done, they push back. Now, I put it out and I go to the navigation system and I load all the waypoint that I will be planning how to fly to avoid the radar. I load to the waypoint to the system, and then all the crew show up. Okay, a friend of mine show up with only headset, and that's it. He don't have anything. The flight engineer and the cockpit. The co-pilot show up. The co-pilot is a friend of mine in my class 7103. And I say, hey, only 35-minute flight. When you stay home, I will fly for you. Say, okay. He get the date. That way he accept right away. And then the load master in back didn't know what's going on, but the flight engineer, he's the old guy. He looked at me, they do that all the time, but not true, okay? And I sit in my seat and we crank the engine like normal. I didn't say anything, but friend of mine, two of us know what's going on. We close the door and back up the aircraft to reverse and taxi. Now, I tell you this. First time in my life, I read checklist line by line. Very slowly, don't miss a word. I do that because I want to delay takeoff time. Right? So we take off to the end of the runway. Then I say, oh, look like the weather don't look good. Why don't I go back and activate the navigation system? The flight engineer didn't know what's going on, but not his duty. So I called for takeoff, and we received the order for takeoff. After airborne, gear up, lap up. The tower say, Husky 460 contact departure. You know what they do? I turn up all transponder. I turn up all the radio, just like we are complete radio failure. So the radar and the ground didn't know who we are. So we take off and heading to Longton Airfield, where I will see my family. We get there, we make a one circling around. I didn't see anybody show up. It's sinking feeling in my heart. So I told my friend to make another one, see what's going on. The second time I turned around, I saw about 5 little cars came up from the dirty road to the Longton Airport. And I already told my brother, sister, my two brothers with the family, if you see the C-130 after the cargo gets off the belly of that aircraft, run toward the aircraft and secure the seat inside the cargo ram, okay? You know, after I landed, I turn around and I key the mic. I tell to the load master in the back, I say, Sergeant, can you upload this cargo for me? He knows this cargo is supposed to go to Frank Rang Air Force Base. But he didn't ask me, Lieutenant, why you upload cargo here? If he did and take my order, he didn't upload. We still take off, okay? But he upload anyway. And the minute he say, upload complete, that means all the cargo on the ground already. And my family already run toward the aircraft. Now I look to the left side, there was the Jeep, military Jeep with the soldier. One of them I saw they hold the hand grenade launcher going to my airplane. I don't think he wanted to shoot, but maybe the way he hold the grenade launcher looked like he wanted to shoot at the airplane, but no way he can do that. Now, that Jeep go past my airplane and park like 50 yards from my aircraft, and 4 engines still running. You know this. My mom and dad, civilian, never close to the airplane. They had to fight the noise of 4 engines, the heat from the engine. Even we put the engine idle, and they still had a hard time to get to the airplane. Now, I went in the back and see how the loading, until I saw the last people hop in the airplane, aircraft is moving for takeoff. Now, the loadmaster, this is a funny story. The sergeant who brings these 2 loadmasters, the sergeant who is the teacher, instructor, take student, first time on C-130, train him to be the loadmaster. Okay. Before I get off the cockpit, I key the mic to all the people can hear. I say, gentlemen, this aircraft will not go back to Saigon. If anyone wants to stay with us, stay. If anyone didn't like to go with us, please leave right now. The flight engineer took up his headset and walked away from to the crew entrance door. Even the door not open. And about split second, he come back, he put his headset on, he said, I go with you. Then I went to the back real quick. Then I have no headset, okay? I unplugged, and then I saw the instructor, loadmaster, talk to the Jeep, maybe the Jeep, there's something. The student sit by the end of stand by the end of the ramp and look for his instructor. He thought he would come back, but did not. He took off for good. Then I hold the switch and call him back. Hold this to close the ramp door. Then he understand, he come back and hold the switch. I leave the switch in, run back to the cockpit, seat belt on, gear up, flap up, aircraft on the airborne. Now, to avoid radar, I told my friend that number one, we go to Vung Tau, but avoid Vung Tau, go 180 degrees in tree level. That means we fly about 150 feet, okay? Now, and 50 minutes later, you hit the water, drop down to 15 feet above the sea level. That day, April 3rd, the sea was calm. It's sunny, and we travel at 280 miles per hour over the ocean to avoid radar. And I tell my friend that I let you the heading, and I told you when to turn, and he did exactly. So about an hour later, I saw in my map that we are in international water. So we climbed up to 15,000 feet and heading to Singapore. And the engineer, he put his foot on the console, okay? And I saw there was a map out of his pocket. I asked, excuse me, you are a flight engineer, why don't you have your flight map in your pocket and see it? So he gave it to me, and I opened it. There was the red line, you know, on his map from Tanzania to Singapore. Now, he a different squadron. The first time he met me. So he said, Lieutenant, I tell you, you did the truth. I and one major on my squadron only planning like this long time ago. But when I didn't expect anything until you tell me this aircraft not go back to Saigon. Then I know your plan was perfect. Then after 2 hours and 50 minutes we landed in Singapore, it dark. And I call Singapore Tower, this is Turkey 460, request land instruction. They didn't ask me, who the heck are you? What are you doing here? 460 Husky, who are you? And then he said, no. He replied to me exactly what, when I called tower, give me, okay, Husky 460, clear to land runway 02, wind 450 at 6, and altimeter 77. And I kept coming at the end. I the special spot. And to this day, I still bother me. Number one, how do they know we are C-130? Number one. Why they have the MD-3 military sit there? And the guy, after they saw me parking, he pulled the power on the MD-3 and plugged in my aircraft and started to walk away. How do they know? Within 5-10 minutes, when they call for landing, how do they know we are C-130? And the MD-3 power already there, okay? So we opened the door, Shirley opened the door, myself, my friend, and one of my brothers. We changed in civilian clothes and walked into the terminal, tower control. And we're looking for some authority so we can talk to report us to them and tell them we are illegal entry to their country. We want to seek political asylum. Now, about that 8 o'clock, so I walked to the terminal and I saw what we call the about 14 policemen walk, stand there and do the paperwork for immigration for the 27 AAA and from the foreign countries to do immigration. And I'm not bothered, and so I walked up to the tower and I saw so many black and white TV around there, and one person sit there and maybe he on duty for security at the airport. And we talked to him. I say, sir, we have some in the airport and we land here illegal. We want to report to your boss. Do you have any people I can talk to? He said, my office is closed at 5 o'clock. Why don't you guys go to the gate and stay in the hotel 8 o'clock to come here and talk to my boss? He said, no. You don't understand. We are illegal. I keep saying illegal to him. Finally, he said, yeah, go back there and let us see what I can do. Then I go back to my airplane. And I hear my people singing hymn song in there. The light went up and they're so happy. I said, what happened here? I walk in the back of the airplane. I saw Coke, fruit, cake, about a cradle in the back of the cargo ram. I asked, what's going on here? And one of the old men said, well, the airline people, they are walking there and saw us so hungry, so they use a forklift and bring all the food left over and the airline put it there. Now, we stay there till midnight. 20 police cars show up, surrounding my airplane. And then we talk to them again. We want to seek political asylum in Singapore. And they say, I don't know what he's breaking. He say, you know what? This never happened in Singapore before. You create a hard time for us. We don't know what to do. Why don't we leave this country now? I say, yes, but we need some fuel. And I do some calculation, give to them, and they come back and say, around $5,000. $5,000 in 1970 is a lot of money for fuel. And I run to the cockpit and make an announcement that, well, we have to leave this country now, but we don't have money to pay for fuel. Anyone have money, anything? So I put my cycle watch, gold, put in the back. And my wife is golden diamond ring wedding, put in there. And my mom put the golden something and put in there. And we collect 56 people total. 53 people in my family. 3 people didn't belong at the major who sit in the left seat, the flight engineer, and the roadmaster. Okay, and I bring that to the report, and I say we don't have money, but this is what we have. And he looked at the window, checked the junk, US dollar only. Well, after they had a meeting, they said, okay, we will allow you to temporarily stay here. And they put it in the prisoner bus or something, because no window. Load all the bus in there, and then they drove for 2 hours until they released it at the, I would say that just like, not the prison, okay, but the rehab center, drug rehab center. And they have a 2-story building. The women and kids stay up, all the men and boys stay in a lower level. And we stay in that jail for 21 days. After 21 days, the jailer came and said, tomorrow you gotta leave this country. And I said, uh-oh, they sent it back to Vietnam, you know. But the day before we left the jail, this is so funny. The Minister of Interior bring about 10 of his people with so many trays of fruit, cake, and 24 bottles of champagne. He came and he said, in behalf of Singapore government, we want to apologize for keeping you guys here for 21 days. It's too hard for you guys. So we had some gift. We supposed to apologize them for entering illegal into their country. Now they come and apologize us. It don't make any sense, right? Well, that night we eat some gift from them. And I cannot drink, so I didn't drink the champagne. Somebody else cleaned it, I don't know. And the next day, the bus took us from the jail to 707 Pan Am, put it in the first class, flew to Guam. And I mixed with all refugees already at Guam. And we stayed at Guam for maybe a week to do some paperwork, and they flew us to Camp Pendleton, California. And my family stayed there around 3 weeks. And we get sponsored to get out of the camp and start the new life. Now, at that point, maybe you, okay, this aircraft is the one I took it out. I took this photo a year before I steal the aircraft. No, I borrowed it. And this is the last landing of that aircraft at Dulles Airport, 1987. Smithsonian created me as the first one get out of the war by air. That's why he picked up to split the Smithsonian for display. Now, the manager or the president of Smithsonian asked me, and he wanted what I want to do with the aircraft. Said, I took the aircraft out of Vietnam with three blades, but now it's 4. Because after we left Singapore, the U.S. government Air Force took the aircraft back to the U.S. and flew with National Guard for maybe 13 years. Okay, they put 4 blades on. The original with 3 blades. So they put 4. I asked him. So he write the Air Force said, yeah, we have plenty of 3 blades. So they give him 4 sets of brand new blades. Okay. Now they supposed to display at Smithsonian with Vietnamese flag insignia. He told me, how you took the aircraft out of Vietnam, we will paint exactly the same. Now, aircraft sit there for 36 years. Nobody, no touch. I don't know what's going on. Some political involved. Mr. Marcus, now he passed away, but a couple years before he passed away, he called me. He said, Khiem, your aircraft is supposed to schedule to repaint and put for display. But the same day, one wealthy lady gave Smithsonian $500,000 to put the aircraft of her husband flown in Vietnam, and that aircraft had no storage. That's it. And my aircraft sit outside there, and the aircraft she gave $500,000 put inside the building for display. Now, 2019, Smithsonian gives this aircraft to National Air War Museum in New York, near Buffalo. Can you go forward? Oh, okay, exactly. This is my first job in United States. Now, look at here. On April, I am a C-130 pilot. On August, I become a tanker. I work in the airport, $2.10 per hour. And every gallon that comes across they give me extra 1 cent. It's so fun work there. I work there, and I also study to take the private the American license. Then this is my third solo. One is first solo in San Antonio in T-41. In May of '70, I solo in T-28. And 5 years later, I come back and solo on Roman American. Okay? Then I become the flight instructor in Ohio, 1970 to 1978, teaching people how to fly the center. Then I move up my ladder, become the chief pilot and the check airman for company. I have a base in Dayton, in Toledo, in DuPage, Illinois, and St. Louis. So I had to go around and give the training and check pilot for them full day. And I worked for Emory, fly cargo. Then I end up at the freight dock pilot, fly cargo for UPS. Okay, now, I flew night for UPS, and one night, one FAA jumped in the airplane and say, I'm FAA, I give you the check ride tonight. But somehow, somebody told the FAA, said, that Vietnamese pilot is C-130 pilot in Vietnam. He's stealing the aircraft and told me from out of Vietnam. So he came to me and said, Khiem, you fly the C-130? Yes. What model? A model. You stolen the aircraft? I said, no, I borrowed it. I didn't steal it. You know the aircraft number you throw out? I say 550460. He told me, what? 460. And he said, you know what? That aircraft in my squadron, because he is the reserve officer Air Force, but in the regular day he worked for FAA. Can you come to my squadron next month and talk about your story? That's why I had a big welcome, 460. And the Major has worked back there in Colonel Snyder with my kid, still young there, and the group welcomed us, and I talked just like this to them. Okay?
And did you have to check the sheriff?
He didn't check me after he said, what's good for? He asked me to come to talk to his squadron. I said, no, so what do you do? Then after 3 years with UPS, my routing is New York and San Francisco 3 nights a week. I've done that for 3 years. It burned me out. You know, I didn't, you know, I end up with people on the airline. Now it's the life of the pilot. Sleep in the night and fly in the day. So every half hour I hit the knock the door, the girl coming in say, coffee, tea, or tea. Not the real pilot, you know. And I took in 1979, 89 at Charlotte Airport. Yeah, no, forward. And now it's a brand new aircraft, Boeing 737-400, brand new one. I flew from Pittsburgh to Atlanta. Now, the aircraft is right now in National Warplane in New York. They just paint the tail. They go to paint the whole thing. And inspect exactly the aircraft I took it out. Next year, on the summer, we'll have the air show, okay, to dedicate this aircraft. And the C-130, real C-130 from National Guard of Michigan will park beside that. So if anyone of you interested for that aircraft, take a photo or something, if you happen to go to New York, Niagara Falls, or some nearby, swing by and take a look at that. This is my youngest. Here's my family. I left Vietnam with 2 children. Now it's total 9 grandchildren. 17. So thank God that bring me here to this country, and thanks for listening to my fairy tale story. On behalf of our family here tonight, I want to thank to Major, Linda, all the staff. I look forward to make the reunion meaningful to us. And I hope when we leave it here tomorrow, the spirit of reunion will remain with us until next time.